What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mark with the Bettor Mark, and let's get down into some college basketball plays for Saturday, February 17th. Make sure you guys all stick around to the end of this video because a lot of these games are tipping off at noon, so you're absolutely not going to want to miss this. Make sure you guys are all subscribed down below. Smash that like button as well, and let me know if you're going to be tailing any of these plays, fading them, what have you, okay? Because we have a very big card. I told you guys I'd come out with some college basketball plays, share with you guys what I'm taking over the weekend because as it stands, guys, NBA All-Star Weekend, fascinating stuff. It's going to be an exciting time. One of my favorite weekends of the year. We got the dunk competition and a very cool format going down with the three-point competition within Steph Curry and the WNBA twist added to that. So we're going to be covering that in a future video as well. So make sure you guys are all subscribed with that notification bell. So when I drop that later on in the day, you guys do not miss that post when it comes out. Okay, but let's get down into it, guys. And this is one where you look into today's slate within college basketball. It's one where there's a couple marquee games, right? But within college basketball, and my strategy is I try to avoid those huge ticket count games, right? The huge marquee games where we see two top 25 matchups, the ones that everybody's watching, right? Fan bases get involved. I like to stick around in the smaller, lesser-known conferences where, general rule of thumb, where the stands are not filled, okay? When you have that going on, that's one where you absolutely can get an edge, I feel. Tracking that handle versus the ticket count, some of those big, sharper bets really try to stick out. And I think that's something you can achieve with some of these, games. And like I said, that rule of thumb where the gyms aren't packed on a Saturday, where you're not seeing a lot of fans in the stands. Those are games where if you see some line movements, you see a lot of line movements in that regard, that is something where I like to hop all over those plays. But that's something where we're going to get into a later video, talk about betting strategies, so on and so forth. But these are my 5 plays that I come out with for you guys on this Saturday. So stick around to the end. Make sure you guys all smash that like button and subscribe here on YouTube and on X, just like I said. But let's just go over some of the top 25 boards, right? Looking to a couple matchups, Marquette and UConn, probably the biggest game, 1 versus 4 we got going down, tipping off at 3 p.m. That's one that's going to be an official play, okay? Just to name a few others, Kansas, Oklahoma, that's a big one. Kentucky, Auburn, that's going to be another official play for me. As well as you look in some of the ranks of Texas, Houston, that's a big game. Creighton, Butler, big game. And obviously, if you're in the SEC country, Texas A&M at Alabama, okay? But two of the big top 25 matchups that we got going down are ones that I'm going to have official plays on. So without further ado, let's just jump right into those ones, guys. We're going to be talking about number 1, Duke Blue Devils taking on the Florida State Seminoles. Okay, this is where we look at not really much line movement in this regard. But when we talk about it, guys, this is one where, Duke has been one of those teams where they've been kind of Jekyll and Hyde for me, right? We all know what they bring to the table. Huge front court. When we talk about what they do from a size perspective, physicality on the glass, but you see how these games have played out, right? We got the big win, a couple big wins along the way, and they're a 50-50 team with covering, and they haven't really delivered in big spots by the number that you would expect them to. I think dating back a couple months ago, there was a game against Arkansas where Duke was just like an outstanding favorite, but all the money just flowed in on Arkansas, and it just really doesn't make sense. So that's the beauty of college basketball is you really can get in some good spots, reading between the lines. And this is one, guys, where I look at the pace, I look at how Florida State likes to play, and this is one where I'm going to lean towards the over, okay? So I'm going to take the over in this game. We look at some of the last 5 matchups, guys. You can see right here on your screen. This is one where you look at the over. We look at a 156.5. Last 5 contests, guys, they're 4-1 within the over, guys. It's something where Duke likes to put up points. They can score. They can put up 90, 100 points in any given day, and Florida State's pace is definitely going to allow this to happen. A thing I worry about down the road is something where you get into foul trouble because of how fast and the style of basketball both these teams are going to be playing, and where we make free throws down the stretch is what I'm going to be keyed in on. But when we look at this game, guys, there's a model out there projecting the final score to be 80-70, but I'm going to lock in that 151.5. If it's going to be there when you guys get it, this total might creep up closer to tip time at 2 p.m. This game is tipping off, but I'm going to be taking the over 151.5 in Duke, Florida State. I just think the pace is there, and we're going to get home with that one, okay? Secondly, let's get into TCU at Kansas State. All right, this is one where it's an even matchup. This is another Big 12 battle. We've watched these games in the past. We've seen the breakdown. We've seen TCU. We've seen home and away. We've seen this game over and over again, okay? It's purple on purple. You got to love it. This is what college basketball is done. This is how it's done, right? rivalry games within the Big 12. And within these Big 12 games, guys, it's a really coin flip situation. But I've watched Kansas State. I've followed them. I saw them play. I can't remember exactly against who, but they were an underdog in that spot, and they came out as home dogs. I believe it was Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Arizona or no, it was Kansas. I'm sorry. Same colors, wrong team. It was Kansas. Kansas State came out there, guys, and they ended up winning outright 75-70 with a 3.5 point dog at home, okay, shattering what we look at within a total over 144 in that regard. The game actually might have went to overtime. It's actually, I know for a fact it did. But this is what I'm trying to tell you in a big spot, a big rivalry game. Kansas State can absolutely ball. They're coming off a lot of rest. There's some questions within how they do their rotation, not having as much depth as TCU. But guys, on the board here, we're looking at teams that are 15-9, 13-6, and we're seeing that money flow in on Kansas State. Okay, but it's a pretty much even in terms of there's no discrepancy within the handle versus betting splits, and they're a 500 cover team. So yes, it might be a little bit of coin flip, but I think it's a coin flip for TCU as well. So I'm going to be taking the home team right here in this spot, right? But I'm not going to take them on that -1.5. Okay, I'm going to be taking Kansas State on the money line. Okay, look to get it in that low 120s, the lowest 120s you can find. That would be how I would be looking at it. But I'm going to attack the money line within Kansas State Wildcats at home. Okay, and then we're going to get into a very big play. This is one I was talking to you guys about. Probably my favorite play on the card. This is one where you can see the difference within betting splits due to the magnitude of the game, guys. We're going to get into the Lafayette Leopards at the American Eagles. And yes, a lot of you guys watching this game, the only time that you'd ever put into those words on your screen is when you're playing a game of, I don't know, NCAA football on your video game system. But this is one where I look into these two games playing, and there's a recent matchup. We look back on January 31st. You saw a 69-66 loss suffered by Lafayette, okay? Very close games. We look at that total, guys. Look at that total. The market was setting that total at 129, and now we're seeing this total right here, right now, as we talk, at 126.5. So we're slightly below that previous 129, and there's really a good reason. That's because that total went to 135 as an actual result, okay? So this is where I'm going to absolutely be loving the under in this situation. I'm going to be playing the under in Lafayette in American. And this is one where, guys, we're seeing it creep down from 126.5 all the way down to 125, but I'm going to be booking that under 125 before it drops even more. I think this is one we're going to play at an insanely low pace. And we look at the over-under metrics, guys. We can see right here the splits. American is a little bit shading 52% to the over. Lafayette is 55% to the over. And at home, guys, this really lends to an underplay in terms of Lafayette on the road is a 62% under hit on the road, okay? Couple that with how American likes to play and that pace of play in that game. This is a very strong lean for me. We're going to be taking the under 152. I'm sorry, that was not 152. I believe it was 125 in this game. Forgive my dyslexia. I flipped the 5 and the 2. But that's going to be the third play for this game, okay? And then and then the fourth play we're going to get into, all right, it's going to be the fourth and fifth play, I should say, is two of those better-known, higher marquee games, right? This is one that's going to be a late-night tip. We're going to get into 6 p.m. where we go down to Auburn, okay? Bruce Pearl and staff hosting the Kentucky Wildcats, all right? This is a number that's just too high for me, guys. It's way, way too high. If you were able to get it at +10, +9.5, +9, congratulations. We've seen this number creep down to 8.5 as we're currently recording, but you can absolutely find a 9 in the market. And this is something where, guys, take the 9 with Kentucky. I really, truly feel like, Auburn, we look at their track record, winning by double digits at home, pretty much in every single game at home by double digits. Okay, we all know how Auburn has a very far superior defense compared to Kentucky, but let's just take it. Let's just take it based on the sole premises. This is me putting my cards down on the table saying, okay, Auburn, prime time, let's go. Calipari and company, they're not losing by 10 on the road. Okay, this is a classic SEC battle. A lot of these games come down to the stretch. They come down to the wire. They're going to be back and forth games, hugely contested games. And this is where you saw Kentucky do the same kind of scenario going to Tennessee, guys, and they just lost one time by the double digits, 11-point difference in that one, okay? And I think this number is just a little too inflated, okay? I would really have this number at like a 5 or a 6. I know Kentucky's going on the road, But we look at it, guys, this is something where you got to really put in perspective the fact that Kentucky's 2-3 out of their last 5, and we look at the metrics within the betting splits, and it really doesn't make sense. This number's a little too inflated, so I'm going to be taking the 9, saying that Kentucky's not going to lose by double digits, albeit on the road. It's just not happening today, okay? Kentucky is a 14-10, 58% cover team against the spread. Auburn, 66%. So all of these things are lending towards Auburn covering this number. 75% at home. But guys, the one that really sticks out to me is Kentucky is a 77%, 7-2 record. 7 out of their 9 games that they are covering the spread on the road. And they are a very, very good underdog pick. This is where they're 3-1 covering that points within those contests. Okay, so I'm going to be back into Kentucky Wildcats, all right? And I truly like them coming off some rest, 11-5 after 4 days rest. This is something where you really put all these into the equation, you break it all down. This is one where I really truly look at getting behind the Kentucky Wildcats, okay? And then finally, guys, the one that everybody's talking about, this is Marquette taking on a Connecticut Huskies. And Connecticut has been an outstanding cover team for me, guys. One that I truly, truly have banked on some cash. When we take the Connecticut Huskies, they have a very strong history of doing well in these spots. And, guys, this is one where I like UConn to repeat, all right? There's a very strong possibility they take home the hardware once again, winning the NCAA championship back-to-back years. If you truly watched the March Madness, it never really was in question, guys. It was something where it's like, oh, my God, all of a sudden, and then UConn is winning the national championship by a huge, huge margin, okay? You can't overthink these ones sometimes, right? Everybody's pounced on Marquette. This is one where, Marquette in this spot is a very good cover team as well. 14-9 against the spread. UConn's 15-10 against the spread, okay? But we look at how this line has opened, right? Opening at 7s, getting some action, getting bet down. Guys, I'm waiting for that 6. I think there's too many pros on Marquette. There's way too many pros on Marquette. Way too much of the public's on Marquette. You look at some of the betting splits, 65% versus 56% of the money. It's something where that Marquette number is getting, bet down. There were 7.5, so now we're down to 6, and it's something where it's just a little too juicy for me, okay? And yes, I'm not in the business of betting against pedigree and class. UConn's at home. Marquette, I know they absolutely cover games. That's kind of what they're doing right now as an underdog. You look at some of the numbers, 4-0-1 as an underdog or a pick'em. But guys, I'm not discrediting UConn. And I think this is a big spot. And I think the way that people have been talking about this Marquette team, I think UConn's going to be fired up at home. This is a contrarian play for me. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of people I respect in the industry, taking UConn taking the points with Marquette. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be contrarian in this spot. I'm going to look even to get in possibly live during this game. But UConn, I'm going to be looking for that 6. I'm going to take the Huskies. -6 at home. Lock it in. I think they get it done, and they might even win by margin. I think this is a complete kind of leap of faith I think people are taking on Marquette. Yes, I understand what they're doing as an underdog, but I'm not going to discredit UConn. I'm on the train. We're going with the UConn Huskies for a long stretch, and it's something where, I'm playing more of a system play with them, guys. They've been a very good favorite to me. They've covered a lot of spots, so I'm going to continue to back them, and I'm going to take them exactly tonight when we get down into this game, and it's something where we tip off at 3 p.m., so this line probably will move by that time, where I think a lot of people are going to jump on Marquette. It's something where I'd like to see the public be betting Connecticut and even, showing that split even more. But guys, everybody's on Marquette. This number's dropping, and it's something where we get closer to 3 p.m. tip. I really think we could get even a 6 or 5.5, and even a live opportunity. But I'm going to go with the class and pedigree. I might be wrong, but guys, it's something where I project possibly even seeing a double-digit victory for UConn. I've seen it happen in the past. I'm not going to discredit them, but I'm going to be backing the Huskies in this spot. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this breakdown, my 5 plays for today. As always, guys, make sure you guys all do your own research and due diligence with sports gambling. Nothing is a crystal ball, but these are what I'll be playing today on Saturday, February 17th, as we await the return of NBA, as well as getting down into this weekend's NBA All-Star festivities. I appreciate each and every one of you guys watching. Make sure you guys are all subscribed here and on X. A lot of good stuff coming. We're going to get a lot of community stuff going, as well as some giveaways and promotions we're going to be running in the future. But make sure you guys, like I said, all subscribe down below. Smash that like button. I thank you again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Go cash some tickets.